Welcome into the Chasing Trails podcast, brought to you by St. John Trail Running and powered by Resilience Through Fitness. Join two middle-aged dads as they sit down and talk trail running, life, and everything in between. Now, here are your hosts, Jeff LeBlanc and Brandon Thompson. Welcome in, everyone. It's Jeff and Brandon here. We are the Chasing Trails podcast. Thanks so much for tuning in for another, what we think is a great episode. We have a real great friend of ours, Mark Campbell, who's going to be coming and just talking about his running experience as an older runner who really got into running a lot later in life. And so it'll be cool to hear his perspective on things. But in the meantime, Jeff, how are you making out, man?
I'm good. Yeah, I'm really liking being back into the recording of the show. Keeps me a little bit more positive in life. And there's a lot of things that maybe we could look at the news and not be super positive about. So this is one of those things, you know, we're tariff free and we're here for you.
That's right. Yeah, there's no tariff on our podcast. That's for sure. You get it totally for free, yeah. unless you want to pay for it. I mean, then we would love to be able to have a conversation with you. But we've been really lucky so far to have two great sponsors for the podcast. And Jeff's wearing his St. John Trail Running hat, and I'm wearing my Resilience Through Fitness hat. And Jeff's got his RTF T-shirt on too. And so it's been really fantastic working with those guys. And it feels like they really kind of connect with us and believe in what we're doing. And they've been so encouraging just in both their generosity towards us, as well as their words of encouragement. And so just a big shout out to those guys, Mark and Devin, once again. And we can't recommend those places enough. You'll be able to find links to the websites, in our show notes, and on the bottom and YouTube in the comment section. So please check them out and you can find out more about them. But Jeff, we got like one exciting little bit of news to break. And that's what it seems like now the marketing for companies and stuff like that has now switched to a lot of the social media stuff and ambassadorships. You hear a lot of those people who are, representing different companies for a lot of different reasons. And we know some people who have some of those connections, but we were able to strike up our own in the off season. And so we're thrilled to be able to announce a relationship with Nutritology, which is a Canadian supplement company. And so I don't know if any of you take supplements. I know my family does. We take vitamin D because we live in Canada and you're not going to get enough sunlight during the winter months, especially. And so we take vitamin D. We give vitamin D to our kids. We also take magnesium for sleeping and all that kind of stuff. And so we've constantly just been shopping around for supplements and been using those. And I know, Jeff, you introduced me to creatine. I had looked at it when I was in high school, way back in the day. Yeah. But it is now, a pretty common thing to be using in our training blocks.
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, when you do some research on creatine, if you go into Google and you trust the Google research, but do your own. Like when we were young, there was all this thought that creatine was bad for your kidneys. It wasn't good for you. And it was, the non-steroid of steroids, right? But right. Now yep. there's a lot of research coming out that it's good for brain development. It helps you, just with your regular everyday muscle development. And so retaining muscle. So yeah, pretty much everyone from women to, teenagers probably too, and men of all ages, all people of all ages should probably be taking creatine if they're being active. And so, realistically, again, I'm not a doctor.
Disclaimer.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah. But there seems to be a lot of research out there. It's known as the most researched supplement in the world. It's clean. It's come a long way if it's just plain creatine, and it's not that expensive as a supplement, yeah. Right? It's a cheaper one out there because there's so much of it. But they sell an 85 serving tub of it, Nutritology, and so yeah, that's where I'll be getting my creatine and magnesium because we also take that and vitamin D, and so. Just some basic stuff that every day, it's nothing crazy. They sell some of the other more different, stuff like the testosterone boosters and and ashwagandha or whatever that is. It's supposed to help with stress and whatnot. So if you're into that, you could use our discount code and get yourself a little discount on that. But it's good stuff too. So
Yeah.
if you're
And it's like 100% Canadian, which I really appreciate. In these days, it seems to be a pretty big deal. We won't get into that, but
as we
it
said, we're
seems to
tariff
be,
free, and I have to
yeah,
refrain from speaking towards it at all in public.
that's right. Right. And the company was started by a Canadian soccer player who played with the Whitecaps in MLS, and so it has been a really cool experience working with them. And so they've been really supportive and encouraging. And so yeah, we do have a discount code. I think it's Chasing Trails 10, all caps, Chasing Trails 10. That gives you 10% off. And so, like Jeff said, both he and I have been using it for the last couple of, I guess maybe a month and a half now. And I've been using the lion's mane, which is a mushroom, which I'm like you, Jeff. Like, some of this stuff sounds a little hokey, but my experience has been so far that my caffeine intake has been way down. Like, I feel way less groggy, which is what it's supposed to do. It's supposed to help with focus and mental awareness. And so I'm starting to, I see some of that, which kind of makes me disappointed as a coffee drinker. Like, I love drinking coffee. So I still drink some of it, but not nearly as much as I used to. And so I don't even need a cup of coffee until I get to like around 10 or 11 o'clock in the
That
morning.
blows my mind because we're both like 10 cups a day coffee
Yeah.
drinkers. Like not big cups, but like your normal 8-ounce cup of your coffee pot. You know, I
Yep.
make a 14-cup pot in the morning, and Heidi has 4 of those, and I drink the rest. So
Right.
we're both big coffee drinkers, right? So
Yeah.
that blows my
So-
mind that you're finding that you're taking less. So
Yeah, so that's been kind of interesting to see. And and so also, like, if for the ladies, like, there is some collagen stuff, and creatine helps with perimenopause, and all that sort of stuff. And so there's lots of things to look at too. So anyway, we don't want to push it too hard. We'll have
this will probably
the
one of the
code
last
there.
times you'll hear about it.
Yep. We use it, and so it's something that we wanted to share with you guys. If you use those things on the regular, this is the way I see it. If you use those things on the regular, you save a few bucks, right? Like, that's what it amounts to. If you don't use them, that's okay. You can just fast forward through this little part, and you'll be all set to go. So that's our little plug, and we're sticking to it. But we want to get to the real meat of the show today, and that is our conversation with Mark Campbell. We hope you enjoy it, and stick around after, and we'll just have a little bit of chance to talk about what he had to share, and we hope that you enjoy the conversation. All right, we are thrilled to have with us in the Chasing Trails studios Mark Campbell. Mark's one of our favorite runners we get to run with in the St. John Trail area, and it's fantastic that you're able to be here, Mark. Mark has done some pretty amazing races, a lot of them the local ones, including the Chiggy Ultra. He did the 50K, the Chiggy Ultra. He's done the Gaspésia 54K. He's attempted the QMT 80K, and we'll get to that story later on. And I think the coup de grace from last year was the 100K at Looney Loops. And so Mark has done all that, and at 63 years old. And it's an amazing thing. Mark, I just want to start off by saying you're my hero. You're doing things at 63 that I can't do at 43. And I am super, super impressed. So I just want to give you your flowers to start things off.
Awesome. Thanks very much. I really appreciate it.
Right. So one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the show and have a chat with you was we had seen an article in Canadian Ultra Running Magazine talking about how there are older ultra runners who are starting to do some really impressive things, starting to get some really great times at older ages that you wouldn't expect to happen. And we'd love to have you just talk about about some of those things today, and that's kind of where we're going to go. But
Okay.
we want to start off first by just getting you to tell us your running story. That's the way we start off every interview with someone, is just tell us how you got into ultra running, trail running, and how that all started for you.
Well, running history is pretty short and sweet. It really didn't start till the intro group a couple of years ago. So this is about 2.5 years into the sport for me. So basically, when
Wow.
I turned 60 years old, I was one of those guys right from very young. If there was a sport, I played it.
Mm.
Running, not so much. I begrudgingly went into cross country in high school because the basketball coach made us go in.
Oh yeah.
That was about it. No track and field. I had zero speed, zero talent to throw a javelin, couldn't jump for the life of me. So all those sports were pretty well out. The only thing I didn't attempt was rugby. And when you're only 157 pounds in high school, you don't play rugby unless you're fat. So I ruled that sport out pretty quick. So basically, most of my adult life after I played university soccer and a few other sports was just looking after our 3 kids because they were in
Mm.
sports. I coached, I was on the sidelines. I was one of those very win, 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 rah, rah, rah coaches, right? Like everything was very important to win. Uh, Later on in life, I realized that wasn't as important. So when the kids all grew up, I was looking for something to do, right? I missed that pit in your stomach, the challenge before the game or the hard
Mm.
practices or talking to your kids or getting ready for a game. I didn't have that anymore. And I really, really missed that challenge. So my daughter had a free membership for me for Good Life down here in St. John. So I grabbed it, went back to the gym, thought, I'd like to do some Spartan stuff. That looks like something hard, a good challenge, right? So, and then I started getting injured. I had trouble with hips. I had hernia surgeries. I had varicose vein surgeries. So my 40s and early 50s were basically spent at Horizon Health here in St. John on a surgery table, right? So, but I started to get better. And then I was on Facebook and saw the intro group introduction. I thought, geez, that doesn't sound bad. So me over analyzing everything, got online, learned everything there was about trail running that I could possibly pull, everything off the internet, went to the intro group, hid in the bathroom at the house for the first hour. So basically my wife said, you're going, right? You've signed up, you're going. And that was kind of it. That was
Wow.
really my big introduction to trail running. My first race was the East Coast Beast Coast, and I was hooked after that. And then I spent the rest of the summer listening to Amber and Mark and Felice and all them talk about Gaspea and about
Yeah.
QMT and about Chiggy and about romping, right? I didn't know about romping until last year. So I just thought I'm missing out on something really cool here, right? So I spent a winter just wanting to get as much as I could and prepared for this past year, right? So,
Mm.
and I absorbed everything I could find. But as far as being a runner of any quality, never very much so in the beginning whatsoever. I'm still a newbie and I still learn every day.
No kidding. Wow. That's inspiring, Mark. I think that's amazing to think. I mean, from watching you run, I was assuming you've been doing this for a long time.
No,
And
no, a
it's
63-year-old man that's bow-legged does not have any athletic skill whatsoever.
well, I can tell you the amount of people who've run 100K is pretty limited, and so you're in rarefied air, and so it's fantastic to hear about your experiences. But it makes me wonder, what does training look like for you? I mean, would you say that that's changed at all over the past couple of years? Like, what's that look like for you?
Well, I mean, in the beginning, training was non-existent. Intro group was once a week, and Mark said, "Well, if you want to do well at this sport, you better get back out." So I tried it. I tried to get out on a number of occasions. Um, Really, the training perspective for me, I kind of realized when I started in, you were either going to succeed or you were going to fail, depending on how much effort you put into it, right?
Yeah.
My first year, I ran all short races, right? East Coast, romping, those short ones. Never really did a long one until I did the Solomon Bay 50 in Halifax in October of 2 years ago. That was my first 50, right? My first 50 I'd ever done.
Wow.
Wow. It's really it's really hard to put in perspective, time on feet, train with the training partner, find somebody that I have a super training partner right now, Suzanne Clavel. I mean, we've been training since December, and she's just been phenomenal. She will do any stupid thing that I ask her to do.
That's right.
Like giving an example of, so we have a little competition about the stair climbers and treadmills. So I'll go to the gym and I'll do a stupid number on the stair climber, 400 floors, and I'll say, tag, you're it. So she'll get up 5 o'clock the next morning and do the same thing. So I'll naturally have to go, I'm going to do 550 floors. I'm going to tag her after she goes to bed so she doesn't see it till the next day. Right. So I think as far as me for training, it's just been about trying to enjoy it a bit more instead of making it about being a job.
Yeah.
Because when I first started this, it was a job. It was a chore. It was something you knew you had to do, but it sucked. It wasn't any fun at all.
Right. That's pretty much how I describe training most of the time as well. It sucks, but it does help you get to where you need to go.
Yeah.
So as you've kind of changed and evolved, like what do you find has been the most helpful for a runner at your age? Like I would think that the older you get, the more stretching you would have to do, the more you got to work on injury prevention and that sort of thing. Has that proved true for you?
Yeah, absolutely. It really came to fruition last year. I started out in the early spring with bad sciatica. I mean, my back was just horrified, and I finally broke down, went to a chiropractor, which I said I would never do. I got better for romping. The back flared up again. I went to Gas Bay without 0 kilometers under my belt for 6 weeks. So I went into Gas Bay with no training kilometers and suffered through a horrifying 54 kilometers. The last 15 kilometers, my knee and back were so bad that I did all the downhills backwards.
Really?
I took my second headlamp, put it on the back of my head, and every downhill I had to go backwards. So, wow. And if you've ever been to the Gas Bay course, the last part of the course is like this 3 kilometer switchback. And it was horrifying. And I finished that course. And the best thing about that race is there had to be 20 to 25 people from St. John Trail running waiting for me when I finished.
Yeah. That's awesome.
So, right. But as far as injury prevention, stretching, heat, ice, Aleve, Advil, magnesium tablets, a thumper, a roller, a TENS machine, an ice tub. Pick some product that I don't have and I'll go get it. Right. So I have tried everything to try to manage my old body, but the stretching and the trying to make hip flexor muscles stronger has just improved my running so much since December when I started a different program. It's just amazing. It's night and day in my body.
Really?
Like, it's just it's crazy how actually listening to somebody will help you.
Oh, geez. Yeah. Who'd have thought, eh?
Yeah. Who'd have thought a doctor would know what they were talking about, right?
And so a lot of those things have really helped prevent injury. And as you kind of get through it, what kind of advice would you give to people who are, just trying to get into it now, and maybe they're a little bit younger? Maybe it's something that you wish that you had known when you had first started. What are some of those things?
Listen to your body, whether you're young or old. Don't listen to the baseball coach who said, walk that off. That'll heal itself. It doesn't heal itself. And now that I'm older too, like you can't walk anything off. You pull a muscle, take the time off. Go have it looked at, right? You can't walk off a hip flexor. You can't walk off an IT band pull, right? You can't do that. And I'm as stubborn a person as there ever is. I will not quit. And ask me the story about QMT in a few minutes, and I'll tell you about the almost fist fight I got at the aid station when they tried to pull me off the course.
Awesome. I can't wait.
Right?
That'd be great.
So that's pretty well where it is, right? You just listen to your body and listen to people. When people make suggestions and they've been around a long time, listen to them. You don't have to take them to heart, man. But I talk to everybody I know, Tim McDonough, Amber, Felice, so James, Sarah. I will probe them for answers to questions. I will annoy the hell out of them on long runs, but they're so helpful and they're so knowledgeable. And there's so many of those people in the trail world, right?
Yeah.
You, not everything's meant for your training purposes, but you can take away from conversations with them and pick and choose what works best for you. And I've spent the last 2 years accumulating all this knowledge, and now I'm finally getting an opportunity to make it work for me instead of watching it work for somebody else but fail for me. So now I can pick and choose, and I can go trial and error to see what works best for me.
Wow. So would you say there's like a level of humility that needs to be there? I mean, I remember what I was like when I was 20. And I was like you, I played a lot of sports, but running was punishment for all those sports, right?
Yes,
That's what you did.
absolutely.
It was the curse that you had to endure in order to
Yeah.
do what you wanted. And I don't know if I would listen to anybody, cause I would have thought, well, I can just do it. I'm 20 years old. And do you think there's a humility that comes with age as you continue to run?
You get humbled pretty quick in this
Right.
sport. You really do. Like short race, long race. I tell everybody, look, I'm not the fastest guy. I'm never gonna finish first, but I'm always gonna finish. Right, 99.9% of the time. But you can get humbled pretty quick, right? It just either by the course, by the conditions, by the lack of food, by the lack of water, by the lack of training, by just watching person after person blow by you.
Yes.
Right. That's very humbling, right? Thinking that, oh, geez, this is good. I'm doing an 8:20 pace. And then all of a sudden a Cody Cooper flies by you at a 3 minutes, 40-second pace, right?
Yeah.
So that's very humbling. But I've also learned that that's not me, right? I'm not those people, right? So I've come to realize that I have a pace that I'm comfortable with, whether I'm running 10 kilometers, rather than running 100 kilometers. And that's what it's going to be. It's not going to get any faster. And I have come to that realization over the last couple of years that it is what it is. Make the best of it. You know what? And don't worry about it, what anybody else is doing.
Right. Oh, that's such a good word, because they say comparison is the thief of joy, right?
Oh, God.
And so it's when you start comparing yourself to other people, that's when it really starts.
Well, it's very hard for me to make comparisons in this sport, because number one, you never want to ask somebody how old they are.
Right.
So I don't know. I could be in a race with 500 people, and there's no way I'm going to say, "Hey, I'm 63. How old are you?" Right.
Right.
And can I run with you for a while? Right. And in St. John Trail running, there's a few people. Lorraine Hood, which is a very good female runner in our group. She's my age, although don't tell her I said that. Right?
Secret's out, Lorraine. Secret's out.
Other than that, there's very few of us in that. Everybody else is in that sucky late 20s, early 30s, early 40s, who I hate those people group, right? Type of thing. Yeah. So it's very hard for me to find somebody else my age to compare myself to, and I shouldn't anyway. So
Lorraine's passed me more than once. I can tell you that much.
Oh, she passes me a lot too, so I'm not saying anything. She's an amazing runner.
Yeah, she is. And a local Hampton native too. So
yes,
that's
absolutely, that's right.
That's fantastic. So I've seen her around lots of times and really inspired by her. All right, I got to ask you about this QMT story. Okay. I want to hear what happened.
So QMT was a race that I never should have run. Right? I got hurt at Gas Bay, should have bailed out, but the ego and the want and need to be with the rest of the group, with the St. John Trail runners, because we had a very good hardcore group going there, right? Should not have done it. Again, had zero training, had just got my knee and back into place. And I said, I'll go. I'll give it a shot, right? So started the race, IT ban, just out of nowhere, bang, 10 kilometers in. So the first part of the race is an elevation of 937 meters straight up.
Oh man!
And at the top of the hill is the cutoff point. So it's about 3.5 hours to get to the top before you miss the cutoff, and they pull you off the course. Well, I got to the cutoff at about 3 hours, crawled in, tears rolling down my face, slamming my poles into the ground. They pull me over a chair. Mark comes over, Am comes over, they start changing out, they start putting food into my pouch and everything. I start grabbing for Anvil, and a race director comes over and he goes, I don't think we're going to let you continue. So anyway, I said, nope, that's not going to happen. So I pulled a knee brace out of my backpack, had somebody help me slide it on. I think it was Amber helped me tie my shoes. And I pulled out of there while they were in a little meeting to discuss whether they were going to pull me off the course or not. So by that time, I had flown out of there the fastest I probably ever ran in my life so I could get around the corner. So I figured they're not going to chase me. They're just going to wait for me to drop dead right later on down the course. So,
Right.
so I continued on, and one of your questions, and I'll answer it now too, was one of your questions was, did you ever feel like quitting at any point in time during this sport or a race? So I missed the cutoff at the 60K mark by about a half an hour. So, and they have a van come along and say, okay, you've missed the cutoff, jump in, we'll take you to the next aid station. Well, I refused the next aid station. I said, I'm walking. I'm going to the next aid station. I don't care if I got to walk all the way back to Mount St. Anne, which was still 8 hours away. I'm walking. I don't care. So crawling along, knees killing me, poles, sun, bug bites, tired, thirsty, all that above. And I don't know if you've ever heard the story, but as you get to this aid station at St. Ignace on the course, you have to go underneath a highway, which is a river flowing underneath this viaduct highway. So normally you're supposed to go over to one side, but it was getting dark. And I thought, I'm going to go down the middle. I'm not a great swimmer. So, and it was really dicey. And I thought, okay, I'm going to die. This is where I'm going to end my life right here. I can't swim. I'm being drugged down by the current. And all of a sudden I hear this, Mark Campbell, is that you? And it was my friend Felice Kaminga. She had waited for me, knew I didn't make the cutoff, was screaming down at the other end of the tunnel, right? So I floated down to her, walked up. She helped me take my stuff off, put me in her car, right? Took a picture, sent it to everybody to say, yes, he is alive, right? And up until then, that was going to be my last race. I was physically and mentally done. And as soon as I heard that, Mark Campbell, is that you? I just snapped right out of it. I popped out. And to this day, that's her calling card. Whenever she knows I'm in the area, she'll go, Mark Campbell, are you here? And she'll look around, right? So, and God love her. I told her she saved my life. And next time you see her, you ask her about it because she doesn't believe me, but it's the honest to God's truth. Like she just snapped me out of that. You know, this is it. Like this, I can't do any more funk, right?
Yeah,
so,
right.
to this day, I thank God that she was there.
Yeah.
So, but I am going back. I am going back because it's out of spite, and I don't quit very easily. And I always say I got a date with a mountain again coming July.
Awesome. So, Mark, tell me when you hit those, like we've all hit those spots like the wall, right? Where we're just like, we're done. And sometimes even like when we're battling injuries, like you're talking about, like maybe this is my time. Maybe I'm supposed to walk away. What keeps you in the sport? Like what keeps you hungry about doing this at 63 years old?
It's hard. It's hard as hell. And my wife asks me every day when I try to get out of bed or when I'm popping pills or when I'm going to the gym to get in the sauna. It's hard. And not everybody can do it. Not everybody wants to do it. Not everybody wants to make the commitment. And I like that standing at the race start line or getting ready. I like that feeling in the pit of my stomach. Yeah. That feeling, you know what, this is it. It's getting ready to start. The race is tomorrow. I got to get my stuff ready. I got to look at the charts. I got to get my food ready. It's just that, it's that overwhelming sense of euphoria and doom, I guess is the best way to describe it. It really is because you go through and you know what you're coming up against. You know it's not going to be easy because you've talked to people. So you're thinking to yourself, am I an idiot for doing this? Right. But yet your adrenaline's going so fast. And I missed that all those years that I stopped coaching and doesn't do anything. And now that I have that back, and you can just hear it in my voice, right? I get anxious and my anxiety goes up in a good way and I just cannot wait. And now a lot of my training is that way too, right? I
Oh,
can't wait for a long run. I can't wait to go to the sevens in Sussex and do hills for 7 hours. That may sound stupid, but I'm so happy to have that feeling in my chest and my stomach again, that impending, this is going to be friggin' hard,
yeah.
right? But what the hell, right? What else am I going to do on a Saturday morning at 7 o'clock?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, you could sleep. Like that's an
You
option. Like
could,
if you wanted.
you could, but as you get older, guys, sleep somehow will start to evade you,
Yeah.
and then you'll be sitting on the couch at 5 o'clock morning in your 70s with a dog on each side having a cup of tea and a piece of peanut butter toast. I'm there
The
now.
70s.
Right.
I do that sometimes already.
It's not fair because like for us, we didn't get any sleep because our kids like were always keeping us up because they don't because they don't sleep. And then I get to teenage years
Yeah,
and I think they should be like you should be able to sleep in, but you're staying up late because they're out late. And you want to
yeah.
make sure they get home.
Oh
And
no.
and then by the time they're adults, you're old enough that you don't sleep anymore because you
Oh,
just are so used to it. It's just not fair.
absolutely. And you guys, I got to tell you, you guys are my heroes because my wife and I had 3 children, and I love them to death. But they're all in school now, and I love that they're all in school. So they're not living at the house anymore, which is amazing for my sanity. So
Yeah.
you guys, you guys do an amazing job with your families.
Well, if you could tell that to our families, that would be
I
awesome.
will.
We would appreciate
Next
that.
time I see the whole busload of people all in the same parking lot, I'll
That's right.
say
Yeah.
something.
You see a whole group of girls. It's not the women's trail running group. It's just Jeff
It's
and
just,
I
yeah,
family. Yeah. It's our
exactly. That's right.
Thompsons and the LeBlancs. That's probably
Yeah.
what it is. Okay, Mark, let me finish off with this question. Like, what advice would you give to younger runners who want to stay in this long term? And I know you've only been in it for 2 years, but you must have gained some clues and some tips to share with people who are just getting into it. Like what would you say to them?
Enjoy it for
Mm.
one thing. Like my first year, like I said, it was like a job. Like training was hard. Going to the gym was hard. Races. You ever see all those lovely photographs that people take during their training
Yes.
runs? I don't take
Yes.
photographs. Like I'm so intent on doing what I set out to do that I don't look around. I was some of the most beautiful mountains in Canada and Quebec, and
Mm.
I have zero pictures to show for it, right? So this past training session, I take a look at my Strava. Like I would never post a picture on Strava before, right? But now I'm starting to slow down a little bit, take a little bit more, talk to people more. Like trail running's not a solitary sport. Like you're running by yourself, but running by yourself sucks. So find a training partner. Like I said, Suzanne's my training partner and I put her through a lot, but you know what? We enjoy each other's company. Find people to run with. That's what I would say. Don't train by yourself because it gets boring
Mm.
and you don't have anybody to push you. Talk to the people around you. Like I pump the people for information all the time as much as I can, but some of the stories that they tell, you learn so much, but it's just enjoyable to be part of the group,
Yeah.
right? Like I say, I just thought about running. You go out and you run and you come home, right? But that's not it. Go to the other thing is volunteer. Like
Yeah.
if you're going to stay in this sport long term, volunteer. Like I will volunteer for anything. I will go to any film festival show that trail running has had. I will go have a beer. You do not need to twist my arm to go have a beer after a run, right? I enjoy volunteering. I volunteered for every single event that St. John Trail Running had last year, and I
Yeah.
would have done more if they would have had them. And it's so much fun to cheer on other people,
Yeah.
and new people get into that. They have to focus on everything, focus on the running, focus on the training, focus on the friendship. But the volunteering is just so amazing. Like I didn't do it very much up until this year. And again, Mark's probably going to hear this too, McColgan, but I'm trying to be his second in command for race director. So
Oh yeah.
I'm going to be like the first princess. So in case anything happens to him, someday I might be able to take over, because what he does with the races and what all race directors do is what eventually, when I can't run anymore, that's what I want to do.
Oh, cool. Very cool.
I think it's so awesome. They do such a fantastic job. But that's basically it.
Yeah.
Enjoy it, make friends. Don't make it all about the running. Make it about the community.
Yeah, for sure. That's great. That's great advice. Before we let you go, there's one thing I just want to ask you about, and that is on your Instagram site. You have this video of you finishing your 100K at Looney Loops. Like you're running through it, and you're just like you get there and you throw your poles
Yeah,
down.
$200 poles. Slam
And
into the ground, right?
right, and you're just so I mean you're exhausted, but at the same time I can just imagine what that was feeling. Describe what was going through your mind when you did that race and why you wanted to do. Did you set out to do 100K or did you just kind of leave it open ended, and what did it feel like to finish that way? I mean, walk us through that.
Yeah. So the previous year was the Mud Bowl, which
Right.
everybody remembers, right?
Yeah.
And that was my first year. So I signed up for the 12, and because I must be considered a mudder like horses are, I finished third in the 12-hour.
Wow.
So I had a goal going into the season of just trying to do a 24-hour and keep moving for 24 hours, right? I didn't put a mileage goal on it. And then my season went all to hell in a handbasket with injuries. So Looney Loops was kind of my redemption run. And I wanted to just go for 24 hours, not stop, and see how I could do, right? And as I got going along, I thought, Jesus, and I love the Looney Loops course. I could run there all the time. It's a perfect course for me. It's not super technical. It's not super hilly. It's nice and flowy. So I just love it. So I just kept going along, and I had a couple of friends who were trying to get their distances. So I slowed down a bit, tried to help them get some laps in, get flowing and everything. And then I thought, Jesus, this is going really well. So I just started to blast a bit more. And I had a new watch and the mileage was off. So I thought when I was getting close to the end that I only had really, because I wasn't counting laps, because I lost count of laps at about lap 7.
Yeah.
Right. So
right.
And Amber says, oh no, you've got like 3 laps to go. And I went, oh no. I said, I'm going to run at a time. So I basically sprinted the last 3 laps, right? No vest, no water, no food, no nothing, right? Because I said, I got to get to that 34 laps. So I came through. So on my very last lap, there's a gentleman from Fredericton, and his name's Jerry. Oh, God, he's going to kill me because he said, slow down. He said, you have almost an hour to finish the last lap. And that all of a sudden that just hit me. I said, I'm going to do this. I'm going to finish this, right? And then Katie Bell and Sarah Lamos were over the side, and they were going, hey, Mark, how you doing, and all that. And I ignored them, and I just blew by them. So I heard about that after the race was over, for not at least acknowledging them, right?
You jerk,
so, yeah, exactly. So, and I blazed through the last lap, and I ran into Jason Fleming and his girlfriend, and they said, hey, how you doing? And I said, I'm on my last lap. I'm going to get 100 kilometers, right? And they just cheered.
Yeah.
And right, and I said, I'm going to do this. So as I came down that very last one, it was just this, this wave of just whatever hit me, right? I just said, I'm going to do this. Like, I didn't set out to do this. I had a really crappy season. I said, but I'm going to finish this, right? And, when you're coming across the finish line at Looney Loops, like going through downtown Looney Loops, like with all those people
downtown
there,
Looney Loops. I love that.
It's just so amazing, right? Because it's just a tunnel of people, and they're all cheering, and they all know where you're at, right? They know what mileage you're on. They know most of them know what kind of summer that I had, how disappointed I was with my finishes and all that stuff. So, and I can hear them cheering, and you don't want to do anything to make yourself look stupid, right? You don't want to do something that you're going to regret that's going to be on film. So I thought, well, I'll just take my hat and toss it or something, right? Or I'll bow or something really silly. But I thought, you know what? I've had these poles in my hands for friggin' 24 hours. So I just chucked them down and I crossed over. And as soon as I crossed, I kind of just blanked out for like a minute, right? All these people coming up, hugging, cheering, slapping. And I didn't have an appreciation for it for the first couple minutes. And I wish I was a little bit more coherent, because people will come up to me afterwards and say, oh my God, gave you a great big hug at the finish line. I'm going, really? Right. So then I have to go back and look at some of the footage to see that it actually happened. But it was such an amazing feeling because it was the furthest I ever run.
Yeah.
It was the longest I'd ever run. It was in front of people that I love, people that I know, people that I've trained with, right? People that know that I had a hard season, right? And they know that that was kind of, like I say, a redemption for everything that happened during the summer. So, and I'll do that race every year until they stop doing it or until I can't do it anymore.
Wow. That's so cool. It's so cool.
Remember,
It's fantastic.
We were sitting around the campfire and someone came along. I don't remember who it was. And they're like, listen, Mark Campbell's coming. He's got a couple laps left. When he comes through here, you guys, you cheer him out, you get him gone. And so we're waiting for you. And you came through and someone said, I bet you when we start cheering, he runs faster than he's ever run during this whole thing and ignores us completely. And so we all started cheering for you. And you took off down that trail. Like,
absolutely.
And he's there like, see, I told you. And it was one of the funniest things, but also you could just see the pain in your face. So it was really inspiring too, especially when you did come across the finish line and finish.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching it and thinking, this is crazy. Like I didn't know you very well and still don't. I mean, I've only talked to you on video now, but just to think like this guy's 63 or 62 or whatever you were last year and just did that. It was really cool, but it was funny when you came through downtown Looney Loops and you were just gone.
But you have to look that way, right? You can't look like you're struggling for the love of God. No, you have to look fresh, right?
That's the difference between you and me. When I came through downtown Looney Loops on my last few laps, I'm sure I did not look good. People were concerned for my health.
You're dying on the inside, right? But you can't show it, right? You just got to smile and wave and keep. But I didn't even wave. I just ignored everybody, right? Which probably wasn't the correct thing to do, but I just wanted to get it over with. But you're right. I knew I sped up, and I looked at the videos afterward, and I went, "I'm flying through there."
Oh, man, anyone who has like a good race photo, like to me, I just think they're not trying hard enough. No. Because like every photo I've ever had in a race, it's just like literally my face is just, I look like I'm fighting death, which is true. Like I am just fighting off death as I'm trying to get this race done. And it's never a good photo.
I despise having my picture taken when I'm doing anything, but running's even worse, right? Because you never have a good look on your face.
No,
it's the constipated, sweaty, hungry, thirsty look, right? So
you're like fighting demons. That's what it looks like. You're fighting some sort of demon. And I'm like, oh my goodness.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm always like, oh, it'd be great to share this little race photo or whatever. I was like, I'm not sharing that. Like, just delete this. Get this off the internet. This is awful.
No. How do you wipe it clean, right? No.
Yeah, I always feel like the old statement of like the camera adds 10 pounds. In my world, it adds 40. And I see those pictures and I'm like, no, I'm not putting that up there.
Well, it always seems when somebody gets me, I'm hunched over, right? Look like I'm ready to blow chunks or something. Never a good picture, not one.
Yeah, I'm like you, Jeff. I always have like this great race fit, and I'm like feeling super confident. I feel like I'm looking good because like that whole Deion Sanders thing, like look good, feel good, play good. And I'm just like, I see the pictures, and I'm like, holy, how many rolls can this shirt show? I'm like, this is brutal. I was like, it's awful.
Camera adds 10
clothing
pounds.
choice is everything.
Use the excuse there was 4 cameras. It's not your fault.
That's right. I was like, 4K is not a good thing for me. Like these, like this, it's not that good. We need to go back to Polaroids, I think.
Yeah, exactly.
We need to get Sarah and James to take the lens down on that camera. They use a camera with this big lens, and it's like, no, use the small lens.
Well, they can get you from a mile away with that damn thing, right?
Yeah.
Every wrinkle, every little pimple, everything, right?
Oh, yeah, it's brutal. Absolutely brutal. Yeah. As soon as I'm ready to smile and wave, it's like, it's too late. They've already taken the picture, and that's not the one they put. It's the one that's like where I'm like dying. And anyway, it's all the joys.
Yeah.
Anyways, Mark, we really appreciate you taking the time. It's fantastic. And I just want you to know too, like how you probably hear this a lot, but it's just super inspirational for guys like Jeff and I to hear your story and to hear what you're doing and to hear your heart for the community. And so just don't stop being you, man. It's just been fantastic.
Oh no, I appreciate you guys having me on. I appreciate everything you guys do for the trail community, and you guys keep it up. And we'll finish romping together this year.
Sounds fantastic. We're in. All right.
Awesome.
Thanks, Mark. Appreciate
Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
it. Jeff, I love that conversation. I think it's one of those things where talking to someone, who has such an appreciation for the community, how hard trail running can be, has given me lots of, optimism about my state of running at the current moment. So I feel a little bit better after talking to Mark, actually.
Yeah, it's true. There's some optimism. There's also some embarrassment considering
Absolutely
for 2 years and he's outrun us and he's 20 years older. But kudos to him. I mean, he obviously is in significantly better shape than us. That was clear.
Obviously.
Yeah.
But I can only hope to be in his condition at 63. Right?
63. I mean, we both started this process so that we just made it to 63, let alone still
That's
running
right.
at 63. We're being honest. Our goal was to make it to 65.
That's
not,
right.
Be running 100 kilometers at 65. Right. But maybe we'll be running 100K at 65. Who knows?
Yeah. And just as, you can hear his heart. He cares so much about the people in the trail running community. And I think most of us can identify with that. But just to hear stories of how people have come alongside and helped him. Don't you think that's kind of indicative of the trail running community? I don't know about you, but sometimes I'm just so embarrassed or so shy or self-conscious to ask people for help or advice or how to do things. But really everyone's there ready to jump in. Like, it's not like people look at you funny when you do it. Right.
Yeah. No, it's true. And even like you get on some of those. I remember the first time I did Rockwood and we talk about it a lot because it was a funny way for me to finish and feel sick and look like a ghost. And I was dehydrated and it was hot that day. That's what I remember of my first Rockwood. Like, it was when you get up onto Skywalker or whatever that trail is where you can look over and see the rail yard, you're on the rock cliff. Like, the sun beating down was just like, it instantly dried you, killed you out. If you had any water left in you, it took it away. But I remember someone passing me, and I was obviously, in some looking like I was in pain, and they stopped and made sure, asked if I had everything I needed, and if I, if they could give me anything out of their pack if I needed something. I said I was fine, but they were more than willing to hand me salt tabs or whatever they had with them, maybe impacting their race, just to make sure that I didn't die in the woods, which was super kind of them, right? So
that's right.
And I don't know who it was. I don't know if I've ever seen them again. It was just a random, trail runner out there willing to help out. So it is indicative of the community. But I think we could all, benefit from having a little bit of Mark Campbell, I don't quit attitude, man. That QMT story, that might be one of my favorite stories on the podcast. in 3 years now doing this, or 2 in their 3rd season. Like, what a boss of a story. So good.
Just taking off running so they don't hold him back. That's so funny.
They can't come get me. They're not going to chase me down. They're having a meeting in the corner. Love it.
And
nothing's better than that.
Hey, can you imagine doing like switchbacks backwards? Like, just running backwards trying to get up a switchback?
I can't
even do it going forward. Yeah, that's right.
At least not well.
Nope. So it is really cool to hear that. And so I hope all of you guys were able to enjoy that conversation. These are conversations where, and this is what I'm proud about this podcast for, is that these are conversations with people who are real people,
right?
Like, you can listen to 1,000 podcasts with like superstars who run record-breaking things, and there's a place for that. And I think that's awesome. But what I love about the trail running community is there's a place for people who are 63, who've only been running for 2 years and are busting their butt trying to get to the next level that they're reaching for. And so,
and not to toot our own horns, but I feel like we do a good job of the mix. We've had some pretty big hitters, and we'll have them on the show again probably. We will probably see Reed Burrows on the show again. I would think. I think he had said a couple times that he would be happy to come back on, and Kelsey Hogan and some of these big hitters that are out there, and doing cool stuff. Like, we'll have to get Amber on after she runs canyons. But then we can have an interview that's super great to listen to and good to hear with lots of good information. From someone like Mark, who's inspiring. He's 63. Works in St. John, does his thing, and still finds time to train and work hard. So I'm gonna get me some. I heard him say he's taking magnesium tablets. Like, I'll get me some of those. It must be the magic pill or something.
Yeah, that's right. The fountain of youth is found in the magnesium pills.
That's right.
Yeah, that's right. So go get me some of those. All right, everyone. We thank you so much for listening to us again. And in the meantime, everyone, keep on chasing those trails.
1, 2, 3.